development.
Finally and briefly, you put your political career on the line when it came to betting tax. How do you feel?
I feel elated, and since last night I have been going. When I got a hint that it will be the betting tax will be removed, I went through my timeline. I placed my political career on the line last year in August, and I said, look, vote for President Mahama, and he will remove the betting tax. A lot of young people doubted me, and I'm sure you have seen the thread. Those who insulted me, wild insults and all of that. Today, I am vindicated. And I made those promises because I know President Mahama. He's a man of his words. And that is why some of us could vouch for him. And today, we are excited, we are elated, and we know that this economy will revamp, will be revamped with this budget.
Thank you very much, General Magwana. Okay, so briefly, before I come to the MP. Yes, no, okay, so, oh, no problem. Let me balance
spoken for you.
Let me balance. Let's hear Honorable Wasam.
Well, it was GHOne. Are you also trying to implement the two majority, one minority? I mean, this is a budget that, to all intents and purposes, looks like a very well flavored Sakawa budget. Sakawa budget is an Azam budget. Look, the minister came and he was compelled to make confession against his own will. The data cannot lie. The growth rates, 2024, he was compelled to eat humble pie and mentioned that the economy grew by 5.7%.
Driven by gold exports. He says, driven by gold exports.
When we took over from them in 2017, the economy grew by 3.2%. You can see the difference in terms of management of the economy. You understand? Our gross international reserves taking care of us over 4 months import cover. This is something that they couldn't deliver to us. In terms of debt to GDP ratio, we gave them 61%. When they were leaving power, they gave us 73%.
After the DEP, the debt will obviously come down, right?
And in terms of projection again, in terms of economic growth, they were projecting 4%. How can you inherit an economy that did 5.7% and in an economy that has been reset? We were hoping and anticipating that they will be talking about minimum 6%, but they went as low as 4%. So the hope that they gave the Ghanaian people has become a hoax. And we pray for the Ghanaian people that this government will have mercy on them.
Let's talk about one thing that the minister talked about, that this government intends doing, that has freed a lot of resources for government to undertake X project, at least per the allocations and per what is on the paper. And that's the capping and uncapping. Many of your colleagues, when you were in power, had concerns to share about the capping. Do you think the capping and realignment regime was helpful?
Well, as it is, uncapping is not a panacea to anything. All right? Now, when you capped, the resources were going to be used elsewhere in the economy. Do you see what I'm saying? So what it means is that when you uncap, you are going to also lose resources that you were using previously in some other places. So it's cost 90. You lose something, so robbing Peter to pay Paul, more or less. That's basically what it is.
Speak to priorities as well.
Uncapping is fine, it's good, but it is also going to cause some vacuum in some places of the economy. That's how it is.
Talk about tax refund that originally was 6%, is now been reduced to 4%. The difference of 2% is able to make up for the money that we could have realized from betting tax and then the e-levy.
You see, it's easier said than done. All right. So the minister can come and rattle and then, flowery language and so on and so forth. But the devil is in the detail. All right. The devil is in the detail. So we are looking forward to sector by sector, what's the name? Estimate that to be brought before the various committees, and then we interrogate them into greater details. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. Thank you very much.
Gusegu, Hassan Tampoli. Let's go to Hohoi then, briefly. Oh no, wait. Let's hear you.
Yeah, he has rightly, he has said everything. He said the budget is well flavored. In fact, I didn't say it. He said it. But if he didn't add what he added, his party people will not forgive him. You see, you asked a very brilliant question about the capping and the uncapping. You see, if you cap, according to him, they will use the money. They use the money for what did they use it? But that's what I wanted to ask him. Bathing in the air, spending. I mean, where you are not supposed to spend. Is that what he's talking about? Now, GHOne can take care. You see, for the first time, they introduced a policy without any source of funding. So they will just tap from anywhere they will get 1 cedi. Then they will bring it. Anywhere they will get 2 cedis. But this time, there is available funding source for their own policy. You see,
and that's a free city.
That's a free.
We're funding it with oil resources.
Not all. Not all. You see, just uncapping, GHOne alone, giving us more and even surplus. You see, to attend to other things in the education sector. You see, this is the first time I have heard a budget being introduced, our first budget being introduced without tax. But we've made a buffer for what they couldn't do with all the taxes that they.
Mining companies will be paying some more.
Oh, they'll be paying. Imagine raising the percentage from 1 to 3. Look at the money they are making. They are destroying our land, and we are crying. Both of us, we are crying that these mining companies are destroying our land, and we take just 1%. You see, the day they will bring that bill to Parliament, you see all of us will clap for the finance minister. Make it 3%. You see, we raise the fund internally. We are not thinking about going out. We are not thinking about burdening the people with taxes. We raise it. Look at the tax returns. Look at the chunk of amount that comes from that place.
Thank you very much. And so let's briefly engage the Minister for Trade and Agribusiness. Yes, Minister for Trade and Agribusiness. Bravo. Your sector featured prominently. There's a talk about 24-hour economy and many others. The big push. What are your takeaways?
This is an excellent budget. A budget that everybody has something to take. The girl child, the student in the primary school, the student in the university, business people, like the private sector, everybody has something to take away. I'll talk about PAD. The PAD for the girl child is something huge. As an MP from a rural community, I know the significance of a free pad to a girl who is menstruating. Menstruation is natural, it's normal. A girl should be able to go about her duties normally when the girl is menstruating, but because of PAD, girls are losing school days to the home. Now, the girl child can go to school because of the free pad. That is not the only benefit. The second major benefit is that all these pads are going to be sourced in Ghana. It helps in the made in Ghana goods that we are talking about. This is an import substitution measure. So, at the end of the day, all those producing parts in Ghana are going to get business. The money is going to stay in this economy. The pressure on the city will be less. They will be making more profit. They will be exporting. So at the end of the day, this free part has a ripple effect, which is good for the economy. Then the free apprenticeship program, which is going to be run by the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. Again, my experience as an MP, I know the number of young people who are willing and able to learn a trade, but they've not been able to do that as a result of money. Now, Excellency John Dramani Mahama says he's going to train people free of charge to them. At the end of the day, startup kit will also be available to them. So we have dubbed it from apprenticeship to entrepreneurship. You see what this does for creating jobs. And so that is also a big one. Apart from the free apprenticeship, then the bank, the Women's Development Bank. When you give a loan to a woman, you know how the woman repays. And so this bank is good for women. We will get capital for our businesses and be able to repay. And so this budget is good for school children, for girls, for entrepreneurs. And then another good thing, there's always going to be a quarterly meeting between the Ministry of Finance, GRA, and the private sector to discuss tax and other matters affecting their businesses. So I think that by and large, this will go a long way to helping our industries to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Elizabeth of Oswejare. Let me engage briefly. Of course. Honorable, yes, briefly introduce yourself and then engage.
Thank you very much.
Hear your impression of the budget.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. GHOne, representing the Kofi constituency. I think that today has been an excellent day. President Mahama once again has demonstrated that he's in tune and in touch with the people and knows the concerns of the people and is willing and ready to do what is needed to drive and move this country forward. In fact, to reset this country. Today we have heard what he intends to do, the financial sector, where he has indicated some of the issues we face, energy sector. Today we knew how much was in the sinking fund and how much he left. Today we know that there is a desire to start the bond market. Today we know how much is required to recapitalize the financial markets. Today we know what the intention is as to how to deal with exchange rate and inflation. I mean, it's touched on the very important portions of our daily lives, to the extent that even books, which have not seen classrooms for 8 years, have been spoken about. Today, school feeding program, which was given 1 CD, today has been changed to 2 CDs. Today, assembly members are going to enjoy. Today, they have uncapped the road fund. A lot more roads can see the light of day. I mean, President Mahama has again demonstrated too much. And I think that, for me, it's just clear that things are going to work in this country. And as for me, I'm happy to be a part of this 9th Parliament. And I'm very hopeful that we are going to see good things going forward.
Yeah, the factory in your constituency didn't feature.
Well, it is part of the 24-hour economy plan. Definitely, they are looking at a situation where they are going to work over 24 hours. That is going to create more jobs. And again, currently the factory is working 50% capacity. Now, with the 24-hour economy, the potential of doing 100% is going to be more. And of course, we are going to have more outgrowers coming in, and the youth are going to get jobs. And myself as an MP, I'm going to be happy because my people are going to be satisfied with what the government is doing. And that's all I'm looking for.
Thank you very much, Member of Parliament for Kumfi. Let's go to DBI. Briefly, Dr. Sebastian Sandari, you are live on GHOne TV. Your takeaways from the budget presentation.
Thank you, my brother. I'm a very excited Member of Parliament today. I'm happy and proud that I belong to the NDC. Today, I have witnessed a very practical budget, a budget of hope, a budget that is the foundation for resetting this country, a budget that touches the lives of every Ghanaian. This is a practical budget, deviating from what I used to listen to for the past 8 years. Only theory, nothing practical, nothing to show. I could feel it, and I believe the good people of Dafiama-Buse is a constituency listening, we're also feeling with joy that at long last hope has come to Ghana. Why do I say so? One of the major challenges of the health sector is healthcare financing. And this budget has addressed the fears of many Ghanaians when it comes to the health sector, because there's now money available to address critical health issues. Just by uncapping the NHIL, money will be released, and about 9.9 billion Ghana cedis will be made available through the National Health Insurance Authority to cater for vaccines, to pay for claims, to pay for essential medicine, to ensure that the free primary health care that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama promised will come through. We ensure that the Mahama Care Program is not just something to deceive the people, that Mahama Care is coming live to address non-communicable diseases. Move from that. I was excited listening and believing that assembly members now would have allowances every month. Not that when they go for assembly meetings, they are even struggling to get them money for fuel, or they have to wait when their 4 years is ended, they'll give them something they call end of service or ex gratia or whatever. Now every month, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is making provision for monthly allowance. I mean, the impact will be great. They will be able to interact with their community members. They'll be able to organize meetings. They'll be able to buy fuel and move around, gather issues from their community members and present these to the assembly. So fantastic. I mean, think about the girls who used to absent from school because of the inability to purchase sanitary pads. Is now free. So girls would be in schools. They will not be suffering from issues of unhygiene. Now they are free to have their free pads, to be in school and to learn. That is quality health, healthcare for them. That will improve quality education. And when you listen to the education sector, quality education is coming where there will be free tuition for first-timers, people with disability. Free senior high school will be addressed where there will be quality issues, quality learning, because books will be provided, their feeding will be addressed. Critical issues concerning senior high students will be addressed.
All right, thank you very much. From one Sebastian to the other, Sebastian Day, Member of Parliament for Kwandu. Briefly, your takeaway from Dr. Akesela Atuforsen's presentation.
Very insightful, but the most important thing is that it's brought back hope to Ghanaians. I must say, I was highly impressed, and all my expectations met. And in fact, in some areas, he even surpassed my expectation. You would recall that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama made several promises, among which he indicated that the area of education, the area of health, the area of agriculture and job creation, he was going to impact when he takes up the realms of governance. And he's actually done that. In the area of education, for instance, the free SHS issue has been topical on the minds of a lot of people, and this he's been able to put together a conference, and we've actually met, and topical among the things that came in the educational forum in Ho, which was held recently, is the fact that a lot of people think that the free SHS must be reviewed. Talking about our economy as a country, it's been clear from all indications that expenditure rationalization, it's very, very, very important. Okay, we need to actually set as a government and as a country to know that expenditure rationalization is really critical. Indeed, this has come up in most of the discussions that you would have listened to as a journalist, but how we would deal with this is the most important thing. And the minister of finance, the minister of finance in his presentation made it abundantly clear. He actually outlined 13 different policy measures that were going to be taken to rationalize our expenditure. He went further to talk about how we would
expenditure rationalization. Hold it. Expenditure rationalization
for revenue mobilization as well, and all this are actually captured in the budget that was read to us. So clearly, even inflation, how we could use the policy measure as a 24-hour economy to drive inflation down, how we will use this.
Yes, I'll return to you, Mr. Day. Let me engage Honorable Patrick Yabouama. Briefly, I'll be brief. Briefly, first of all, once again, your friend, Dr. Akesela Atuforsen, says the economy is in a mess. What do you make of the presentation generally before we zoom into this?
Well, Atu's my good friend. He came to speak what he knew was not the reality. You saw his face when he was announcing the growth figures of 5.7. And because that is the truth. You see, you can play the politics, but you can't lie to the international community on facts and figures. Because this budget is not going to be responded to positively by the markets. Because an economy that is going at 5.7, if a minister in a reset budget says that the economy is going to grow at 4%, then every investor will sit up and say, hey, what am I doing? Where am I going to put my money? You understand? The same thing he said about the energy sector debt going to be paid in 2027. That led to a decrease in our bond yields by 1.1%. So whatever you reap what you sow. So if you don't tell us what the real facts are or what the real figures are, they'll come to bite you. And I believe that he wasn't honest in the presentation of some of the figures on the floor, and we live to see with the implementation.
Finally, capping and uncapping regime. Under the Nana Addo administration, there were some ministers on the floor of Parliament, including Sheila Ekobotwi, who had issues with the Capping and Realignment Act. Do you think really something could have been done about it?
Yeah, something could have been done. Let's see how it releases funds to help the various sectors, especially GHOne, NHIA, and the Road Fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick Yabuama. And so, yes, still coming to you live from Parliament, and we're taking reactions from members of Parliament about Dr. Kesela Tuforsen's presentation, his maiden budget, 2025 budget, a number of policy announcements, a number of decisions in there. We are gauging the mood here and taking reactions from MPs. I have another MP here. I will allow him to introduce himself. He's a first-time MP for the sake of his constituent. You are live on GHOne TV.
Thank you very much. Imano Kwekubuam, Pro East. Yes.
Okay, Pro East. So he replaced the almighty Dr. Kwabena Donko. First of all, what are your takeaways?
I'm so excited. I'm so happy that this particular budget has brought some kind of hope, inspiration to the youth. And what it is that as we look forward to what is this country going to man in the next 4 years or this year, it tells us that the youth has to get something to be doing. The opposition will tell you that this is they don't understand why we are making so much pronouncement. But there's so much social intervention. As a socialist, there's so much social intervention we need to get for our people. And all the promises we have given of, we have actually brought it here. It's not just mere promises, but we have committed to getting it improved and performed. That's so much. The Women's Bank, as we described, we've done some allocation to it, over 500 million. To it, the agriculture transformation project, we have committed to it. Look at the LEAP project, we have increased the allocation of this. We have uncapped the national health insurance.
Talking about uncapping, let me find out from the man who was at the thick of affairs relative to the governance in the past administration or immediate past administration. The Capping and Realignment Act and the regime, there were concerns, even from some of your colleagues. Could something have been done about it?
Something like?
In essence, like what has been done. And uncap some, like a road fund, like national health insurance, a scheme, those things. Could this have been?
The capping and earmark funds of 2017 gave power to the finance minister to realign if he found need to. Essentially what the minister responsible for finance has done is that he has not repealed the act. He has only realigned, which is exactly what we were doing. That if you consider this a priority, though it has been capped, you restore. That's exactly what he has done. It doesn't mean he has created new money or found new money for it. So for example, take free SHS. He says that there was no dedicated financing for free SHS. That is not true. Free SHS was being financed through the goods and services component of the annual budget funding amount. It was dedicated to it. He comes and he says, Mr. Speaker, President Mahama has solved it. How has he solved it? He says he has uncapped GHOne and is going to use the money for it. But it's not new money. It's the old money in the budget that you have moved from one cost center to another cost center. You haven't solved any problem. It's not like you have introduced a revenue handle which is dedicated to this one. It's the same government of Ghana resource envelope that you've moved from one center to another. So you haven't done anything in that area. But my brother was talking about the Women's Bank. I want to ask you to go and check the data yourself. Whether it's 51 million that he said he has made available or 500 that my brother was checking. Because today, the minimum capitalization of a bank is 400 million. Before, at least minimum 16 branches across the country. And then you come to a float. Our estimation is that you need about 1.5 billion to set up the Women's Fund. If I heard him correctly, he spoke about 51 million. But my brother says 500 million. I want you to check and then let's see the truth. Now, all these allocations that he's saying that he has allocated money for this, Isaac Adongo says that it's called audio money. It's money you hear in your ear. It doesn't mean releases have taken place. That is why when it comes to appropriation, you have the heads of committees complaining that it's about releases, not the audio money. So let them proceed with the releases. And finally, they've introduced 4 new taxes in this budget.
Yes, mining sector.
4. Meanwhile, we had agreed that what was going to happen is that they were going to cut the taxes and cut expenses. They have cut 5 taxes. They have introduced 4 taxes in replacement of those 5 that they have cut through the back door. And then in terms of the appropriation that they told us they were going to cut, last year we appropriated how much? 250 billion. This year they've appropriated 290 billion, or they've come for 290 billion. That's 290 billion sound like it's a reduction as compared to 250 billion. So the numbers are beginning to expose them.
Now, do you also believe that what Atuforsen presented is a scam?
Well, I won't describe it as such. What I'll say is that I'm happy he admitted that the economy grew by 5.7%.
Well, by gold export, he says.
Yes, and the gold export, he says that it's mostly from small-scale local miners. Well, that's the word he chose to use. But it is evidence of the fact that the Ghanaian economy grew by 5.7%. Now, their economic strategy that they have put together, he says that the confidence they have in it is that it will bring down growth from 5.7% to 4.4%. Are you proud of that? Are they proud of that? That somebody has left you economic growth of 5.7. You say it's not good. It's criminally managed. You are coming to reset and do it better. What is your target? You say 4.4. Papa. Look at our gross international reserve position. We left them 4 months of import cover. They have just advertised to us that they are coming to chop 1 month, so that by the end of the year, it's 3 months of import cover. You know why? It's because they have removed the gold for oil policy. So the way we were shoring up the currency, they no longer have access to it. And now what they are doing is that they are withdrawing our dollars, our gross international reserve, to shore up the currency. So by the time the year is over, it would have dropped from 4 months to 3 months. This is what Afenyo Markin meant when he said that very soon you see the true colors of the umbrella.
What basically they were trying to say is that if you look at the report from the Ghana Statistical Service, 5.7 growth. But in terms of the other indicators, if you look at inflation, debt to GDP, these other indicators didn't point to a properly managed economy. And with a proper fiscal discipline under the administration, they will make sure that they fill these things, that they are targeting inflation, a single-digit inflation.
I have always told you, my colleague journalists, that we should distinguish between narratives and facts. You can say this easily, but what are the facts? Debt to GDP ratio is a computation of your total debt stock expressed over your GDP. The Ghana Statistical Service brought you the GDP yesterday. That is 1.2 trillion. Compared to the debt that President Mahama mentioned, that brings you to 61.8. They left 74% debt to GDP ratio. It was only after rebasing years down the line that it was adjusted to 55. At the time they were leaving, it was 74. We have left, according to the data that has been presented, 61.8% debt to GDP ratio. Now, does that look to you like an economy that has been criminally managed? And if it does, then what does 74% debt to GDP look like? So don't let them deceive you by the adjective they give to describe the noun. Look at the noun yourself and make a decision whether this 61.8 is it higher? Does it look like it's higher to you than 74? It's not higher than 74. For example, the inflationary rate that we are talking about, they left us about 13%. Shamima, how you doing? They left us about 13% inflation, which we brought down to single digit for about the first 3 years before we were hit by the crisis. The crisis took us to as high as 54%, and we started putting in place measures to bring down inflation. The target for inflation, if you look at the upper and lower band, was 22 and then coming down to 15. We left 23. That was just about 1 above the mark. But look at where we had brought it down to. Today, Deloitte is telling you, if you look at their forecast, that this year it should come down to 8 plus or minus 2. What is important now is what they will leave for us, so that you can then compare that to what they have inherited. I'm happy, like I've said, that the numbers are beginning to show. As for the narratives, you can put out the narratives, but the numbers are beginning to show what will really happen at the end of the day.
In terms of tax refunds, one of the things when we spoke to you, where you mentioned you were looking at how they will fill the gap.
Yes.
They scrap the e-levy,
yes.
they scrap the betting tax
Yes.
and other tax components.
Yes.
They've given you how they fill the gap.
How?
Okay, so I'll take leave of Kojo and engage briefly Deputy Communications for the presidency, Shamima Muslim, who was briefly acknowledged by Kojo Nkrumah. First of all, let me start afresh with you. What are your takeaways from what Dr. Kesela Tuforsen presented today?
My takeaways are that we have a government that has shown that it is truly altruistic and it believes in the egalitarian role of the state in distributing the state's resources equitably and fairly across its different populations. In this budget, which I describe as a people's budget, we have seen allocations made to all vital sectors of our economy, as well as all different populations of our economy. We have seen commitments that were made during the election come to life and come to fruition. So we weren't joking when we made those promises to the women of Ghana that we're going to support them with capital for their work through the Women's Development Bank. We weren't deceiving the girls of Ghana when we told them that we're going to commit to providing them free sanitary pads in their primary and secondary schools. We weren't deceiving the youth of this country when we told them that we're going to expand opportunities for them through different vehicles like the CODES program, like the apprenticeship program, like the 24-hour economy, like the free academic, first year academic, facility fee. We weren't deceiving them. We weren't deceiving the farmers of Ghana when we told them that we're going to bring back life to agriculture and ensure that the agriculture retains its glorious, status as the backbone, really, realistically contributing to the national purse and ending, minimizing food inflation. We weren't deceiving the farmers of Ghana. We weren't deceiving doctors and nurses and midwives when we told them that we're bringing back their allowances. We have met those promises. We were not deceiving the assemblymen who have worked. In fact, they are the real runners in our local communities, and yet they had nothing to show for it. So we didn't deceive them by making those allocations to them. Some people decide that they will ramp up the public debt to 271 billion cedis. They decide that they will go a borrowing. They decide that they would invest in projects that we can't see the tangible benefits of those projects. We are saying that we're going to do what we have to do to put money directly in the people, in the hands of the citizens. This was our promise to Ghanaians, and we are happy that this budget presents this new chapter that Ghanaians have agreed together with us needs reset.
On the Women Development Bank and the allocation, I'll go to Reverend briefly, but is allocating 51 million or 500 million for the establishment of the Women Development Bank?
Is it what?
500 million or 51 million? Because Kojo Nkrumah was asking, because if it's establishment of a bank, the minimum capital requirement is well over 400.
The NPP always misunderstands our communication. They didn't understand what 24-hour economy was. After incessant explanation to it, they don't understand that the concept of the bank we propose is not a commercial bank expected to charge commercial rates to our clients. It's a development bank expected to provide vital intervention to our women, who are really the majority of our informal economy, who are the backbone of our informal economy, who sometimes need just 500 cedis, 1,000 cedis, 2,000 cedis to manage, their small-scale tabletop businesses. Please, that is how we envision this bank. It's not a commercial bank.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Shamima Muslim. So, yes, Reverend, you heard your sister. First of all, your reaction before we zoom into the specific.
Yeah. So, I've just done the math. 51.8 million cedis. If you are even going by what I just said, and allocating 2,000 cedis, it's only going to serve 25,900 women. Is that a promise John Mahama promised Ghanaians?
Seed money.
Seed money. I mean, finance minister knows very well that in this country, to be able to set up a bank, minimum capital is 400 million cedis. We expected to hear nothing less than 500 million cedis, so that we know that there's a meaningful bank that is going to be set up to sustainably support women-led SMEs and agri-businesses and such, businesses that would drive growth. So now, with the 51.8 million, is it a microfinance or cooperative? What kind of cooperative are they going to set that up with? They are only just going to gather some 25,900 party apparatchiks and share that money amongst them, and that's the end of it.
Now, your sector, education.
About my sector, the minister peddled very serious falsehood by saying that we didn't have any dedicated funding source for financing free SHS. It's a big lie. Consistently, we finance free SHS from the ABFA, goods and services. It is in the budgets, all the budgets we are always presented. So why did he have to lie?
That's oil funds, and oil is a final product. So was that a sustainable source of funding?
It was sustainable. And then he said that you are going to uncap GHOne to finance free SHS. Uncapping GHOne in itself is not bad. But GHOne is set up for infrastructure development and so for infrastructure financing. If you make any savings from the uncapping and want to misapply that to funding free SHS, it is a complete misalignment. And that is an indication to parents that they are going to struggle in financing free SHS. And perhaps parents should get ready to pay some aspects of free SHS.
GHOne offers scholarships. That's no infrastructure.
Yes, but the GHOne aspect of the whole of GHOne formula is just less than 10%. It's even less than 5%. So it's very negligible. So essentially, it is there to finance various sectors from pre-tertiary to primary to JHS and then secondary TVET and then tertiary. But talking about education, I didn't hear any specific funding for TVET. There was no specific mention of STEM. So completely they don't understand it, or it's not a priority. They are not going to continue with it, and it's just going to be business as usual. But overall, the minister exposed his own president. One President Mahama said that the economy is criminally mismanaged and a crime scene. The Minister for Finance came and said that they inherited a GDP of 1.2 trillion. A 1.2 trillion GDP is certainly not a crime scene. An economy that has grown by 500% from an abysmal 219.5 billion, 219.5 billion cities GDP in 2016. Adding a trillion to it to 1.2 trillion, cities is certainly not a crime scene. An economy that is growing at 5.7, which the minister touted, and the growth rate for 2024. That is definitely not an economy that was poorly managed.
One indicator: there was inflation, there was the depreciation of the city.
Growth rate is the major indication. Another critical indicator is the gross international reserve. The minister again exposed his president when he said that they inherited from us gross international reserve in $8.9 billion, equivalent to 4 months of import cover. When we asked him to set a target for 2025, he only set a target of 3 months import cover, from 4 months import cover to backward 3 months import cover. When he inherited 5.7% end-year growth rates, we expected him to take us to minimum 6%, but he took us backwards to 4%.
So that's not a moderate target.
It is a backward target. It just shows you clearly that they are conceding that we've set very high standards. They cannot meet it, so they need to be modest in the way they set the expectation. But there was no aspect of the budget that talked about jobs creation for the youth. It's uninspiring, completely not creating jobs.
But the big push talks about the 24-hour economy.
Push is 10 billion. How much of it did they mention? 800 million or so
for the first year.
For first year, 8 billion. If you want to be committed to 10 billion financing scheme in Penifose Agrobeda, if you are not, the first commitment you make, an indication you make in your first budget, is what shows that you are really going to be able to meet that promise. And you talk about over the energy sector, for instance. They are preparing our minds that every quarter we should be ready to pay for increase in tariffs.
We're doing that under the IMF program.
Oh, so Ghanaians should be ready. Every quarter
there will be hikes in your electricity tariffs, in your fuel prices, which wouldn't have happened if we were in power. So these are some of them. But, when we all agreed that some taxes must go, MPP agreed that COVID taxes must go, e-levy didn't serve the purpose, it must go, betting tax didn't serve the purpose, it must go. Then NDC also promised. So they're scrapping those taxes. It's nothing new. But the worry is scrapping these taxes and reintroducing new and taxes behind the back door and imposing hardship, potential hardship on the consumer, because that import duty they've introduced is going to be passed on to the consumer. The sunset they have increased to 2028, they have extended to 2028 in the mining sector, is going to be inimical to the growth of the sector. No FDI will come to invest in the mining sector if all that taxes is going to apply. So that is going to drive down a declining growth further. So it's really inimical and really backwards, counterproductive. Thank you.
Reverend John Intimfojo, thank you very much. Let me go to Ododo Dio and finally engage Honorable Ashi Kote. You're live on GHOne TV. Your impression about what the finance minister presented?
I think it's been fantastic. We have been very honest with the people of Ghana, unlike the MPP who we cannot trust with figures and facts, because they say one thing and it tends to mean another. You see the people and feel the people suffering under the economy, yet the MPP will come back and churn out all kinds of figures and tell you the economy is good, which obviously doesn't reflect in the lives of the people. This is a government which have come to be honest, and all the things we said we are going to do, we have started putting steps in place. We are adding flesh to the promises we made, and to make sure that we reset this country and set it up for advancement. Today, Ghanaians should be happy because we have tackled almost every sector, and teachers have been captured, nurses have been captured by virtue of their allowances, and monies have been made available to, fund their allowances, something the MPP claimed they were going to do that they couldn't do. When you come to education once again, the free SHS that they claim we are going to collapse. Today, we have allocated funding to make the free SHS better than it used to be. Capitation was capped under the MPP, and they reallocated the funds for all kinds of unnecessary, useless ventures. Today, His Excellency, who knows better, has uncapped it, and is going to make sure that monies allocated, to the GET fund will be used for its purpose. Just so education will be advanced again. The MPP messed up the quality of education. In fact, they claimed they were doing free SHS, yet they couldn't allocate, a sustainable source of funding. Today, we are putting all these measures in place to ensure that free SHS become better. Even before today, the kids have already started feeding well. Unlike the MPP's regime, where they were eating maggot-infested rice. Today, they are eating 2 eggs a day, which is unprecedented. And this is a man of vision who gave his word, and is making sure his word happens. You will recall that under the MPP regime, they told us we are going to build a sky train. They allocated about $2 million. The money is up to date. It's nowhere to be found. There's no sky train anywhere. No single infrastructure to that effect. They lied to us again that we were going to build a blue dam. Monies were invested in that. Millions of dollars were invested in that. Today, there's nothing to show for. They lied to us once again that they were going to build the National Cathedral. They even scammed God that they were going to build a cathedral for him. They spent over $57 million. Today, there is nothing except a swimming pool that is left, over there. All these things they did, they believe we are going to toe their line. So they are telling people that, these promises are all lies. But His Excellency John Mahama is a man of his word. And that is why the National Apprenticeship Program he said he was going to establish. He has allocated funds to it because he understands that, development now is shifting from the book knowledge, office sitting, kind of economy to a more of an industrialized one. So we are going to build the capacity of the young, persons in skills development. So they'll be ready enough for that advancement so that they will all find something to do. He has allocated funding to make sure also that projects that were not completed before, we are going to deal with them. He has allocated funding also to ensure that Ejuma part that that he said he's going to do, it will be established. The 24-hour economy is going to happen, and everybody will be happy. This is a man of his word, and I'm telling Ghanaians that this is a day to be happy, because all sectors of the economy have been captured. And I'm telling our parents to be happy. I'm telling the youth to be happy. I'm telling everyone, in fact, Okada riders should be happy, because we are going to reform their sector, and we are going to ensure that we'll change the laws that makes it illegal, so that they can apply this business in an honorable atmosphere. So they also, observe all the safety, requirements, just so that Ghana, can fly again. So for me, it's a happy day. We are going to prove the MPP wrong, and then finally thank His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Let's talk about some group of people that you work closely with, assembly members. Per what the finance minister indicated, they are henceforth going to receive monthly allowances. How welcoming a news is that?
In fact, I was an assembly member, and for me, it's a good news, because it was one of the things that we all, clamored for, because it is very challenging on the grounds to see assembly members who are the lowest level of development, who the people interface with directly. People sometimes go to with their needs and what have you, and if they are unable to support them, it becomes quite challenging. And so for me, if they are going to be given something that will make them focus on their jobs as assembly members and do that to its perfection, it is it's a welcoming news. So I'm happy that he gave his word that he's going to fulfill and make sure assembly members at the end of the month get something good to take home. Today he has honored it. So I already told you, this is a man of his word, and I want to say a very big thank you to them. My assembly members, Honorable Boisa, Honorable Ziyad, Honorable Koto Ashikote, Honorable Mankata, Honorable Niayi Hayford, Nyefe assembly members, and Chair Konshieko, Honorable Pierrot. This is the time in your bango as assembly members.
Thank you very much. And so let's engage former Deputy Finance Minister and Member of Parliament for Insia, so Dr. Stephen Amwa. But first of all, before we even start the engagement, let me give you the opportunity to clear this up. What is it about this video that has been trending? And I can see a guy still shouting. This gentleman here, I seen in a video following you when you were entering Parliament. What exactly happened? You are live on YouTube.
He just met me and was attacking me verbally close. I didn't mind him. So I just asked the policemen, how come they made somebody followed me that close, position, that I don't know him. I don't know whether he's a good or a bad person, somebody you don't know. If he had meant to do something bad to me, he would have done it before they even come in. Then lo and behold, I came here. The same person is all around me attacking me. So I really find it very difficult. I have never met him.
You feel safe?
Safe. Oh my God. Boss, there is God. I have God, and I'm not somebody you can walk over. I'm not somebody you can walk over. Maybe what he wants to do is, by my position, he wants me to misbehave so that they capture that. But at least me, I've been talked to. So a lot of things, I don't do them again. Then you ask me what I'm doing in my constituency. I started listing all of them. That too is an issue. So it's something deliberate for him to attack me. I don't know who has asked him to attack me. But the point is that I'm going to make a police case. Because now it's very dangerous that somebody you don't know, somebody you've not offended, keeps on stalking you, saying all sorts of things, having videos and photographs of you. I'm going to give you, I have his photograph now. From here, I'm going to the police station, and then they should call him what I've done. Because if you are talking about what I've done in my constituency, I am telling you today, go and check. Within oh God, this is serious. This is so serious. I find it very, but why? No, boss, listen, what you are doing is bad. Why are you stalking me? Why have you been sent to kill me? So why are you doing this? Or do you want me to retaliate? No, do you want me to retaliate? But you keep on stalking me, attacking my own day. Do you know me? But I go run everywhere, you are following me. Boss, I won't do the interview.
But I'm coming. What's happening? You come.
My problem is that this man actually deceived Ghanaians by crying on air for Ghanaians to know that Ghana is actually collapsing, and the leadership of this country is not actually serving the people of this country with the kind of leadership we deserve. Mr. Stephen Amwa cried. The evidences are there. Okay, if you want to know, you can come to my page.
What's wrong with that? He was sending across a message. What's wrong with that?
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government spent $58 million digging a hole. Whereas today, when you go to Amasamai or Opa Basic School, it rained and there was an air blow and their roof has been taken away. As we speak, the school does not have roof over their children's head. And they are equally Ghanaians.
What has that got to do with the MP?
Exactly. I am not only talking about him. I am sending a signal to Ghanaian leaders whom we have voted for that they need to serve the people and stop the lie. Mr. Steka, if there is anybody that has the moral right to be talking to Ghanaians about hardship, he's not supposed to be part of it. He became a deputy minister of finance. Was he not in this country?
But his government was voted out. Is that not enough?
I'm coming. So if Ghanaians voted against the MPP as a political party, it was because there were a lot of things that ordinary Ghanaians were going through, and that's why they voted them out. And I don't think if there is anybody that has any moral respect for the people of this country, it should be him to come and tell us what we should be doing now in terms of our economy.
That's what democracy is about, right?
No. Democracy should be redefined. Democracy should be redefined.
No, before I let you go, he said he's making a police case against you.
No, I don't have any problem. He knows I am not harmful. He knows I will never do anything to him. I am a very respectful person, but I am somebody who listened to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's advice to be citizen and not a spectator. I'm just only being a citizen and not a spectator.
It feels you're harassing him. Please.
Oh, how? Come on, you know that. No, you know that right now there are a lot of cameras on me. How am I feeling threatening? So if you say somebody is putting a camera on you and that makes you feel threatening, you are just running away from your shame. Yes, he's just running away from the shame because as we speak, he said he has sent computers to Prempeh School. When you go to Prempeh School, there is no street light from Patase on the Sofalai interchange. They don't have. Do you understand? When you go to South Central, let's go to South Central and go and see. Let's go and ask them. Do you understand? It is something that we need to talk about. And some of
so now we can see that the marshals. No, hold on. We can see that the marshals, the marshals have stepped in. Is that enough?
No, he has to be arrested. I'm making a formal complaint. No, I'm making a formal complaint. I want to come and write my statement. Boss, it's okay, please. Thank you very much. Please, no, I want to make a formal complaint. Yeah, because I don't even know him. I have not insulted him. I have not attacked him. I haven't done anything to him. He did that in the morning. I didn't mind him. He keeps on following me and stalking me. Already, my 100-year-old mother, she says she's been receiving calls at least twice. Late in the night that people were saying that if she doesn't talk to me. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So this is a serious thing. So, boss.
And so that is it. And I'm sure viewers might have seen a video that has gone viral of Raf, of course, the gentleman's name is Raf, videoing the Member of Parliament for NCISO, and then also in the video he's making commentary. He's making commentary, and the Honourable MP feels that amounts to harassment, and that he's going to the police station to lodge an official complaint against him. And now the marshals people have whisked him away, and of course we sought to find out from the MP for NCISO as to whether that is enough. Now that he's been taken away, Doc, I think once he's been taken away, Doc, I think once he's been taken away, let him take him away.
I'll go and write my statement. No, I'll go and write my statement.
Okay, so yes, that's Dr. Stephen Amwa saying that he's going to follow this and then also go and then write his statement about what he feels about the individual recording him and making comments therein. We spoke to Raf. Raf's explanation is that this is a democracy. He never intended to threaten the Mensia South MP. Nonetheless, he was very vocal under the Nana Addo administration, talking about things that had gone wrong. And Raf feels that for that reason, he lacks the moral right to talk about national issues, especially on the back of the fact that he serves as a deputy finance minister. Of course, that's not what democracy is about, but Ralph disagrees. And so, the individuals from the marshal office and the policemen here have whisked Ralph away, and then they are now all heading to the Parliament police post to lodge an official complaint and write a statement, and Ralph for the police to determine what they do with him. That will be it from here in Parliament on that dramatic note. Wrapping up, and then of course talking about the budget presentation, maiden one, delivered by Dr. Kesel Atuforsen, the finance minister.